The call came a little after 3 on a glass-bright Thursday in Austin. Sun in the windows, city at my feet, acquisition reports glowing gold on my desk. Life was humming. "Mr. Harrington," Lydia Grant said. If anyone could stage the second, coming and still handle canapes, it was Lydia. Calm, precise, unflappable. Except today her voice had a tremor. "How's the planning for Margaret's birthday?" I asked, already counting security guards for a guest list that multiplied like rabbits. A beat of silence. "I'm calling to inform you your invitation has been canceled. Mrs. Walsh asked us to retain your $60,000 deposit." I watched ant-sized cars crawl down Mopac and let that sink in. Kicked out of my mother-in-law's 70th, and they'd keep my 60 grand as a gift. The audacity almost deserved applause. "Repeat that," I said, keeping my tone boardroom cool. "Your wife and Mrs. Walsh felt your attendance might cause family tension." Lydia's voice shrank with every word. "But they want to honor your generous contribution." Generous contribution. Like I'd volunteered to sponsor my own exile. "Lydia," I said, opening a file on my screen. 1. Request. "Of course, sir. Cancel the entire party." Silence. Then a squeak. "Sir, you're not the celebrant." "No," I said, smiling. "But I own the venue. I own the catering company. I own the hotel chain holding the room blocks. And in this country, an owner can do as he pleases with his property. People like Margaret and her daughters live in a world where everything appears by magic. They never bother to see the hands behind the curtain, or whose hands they are. While they called me the guy with a few properties, I'd spent 18 years quietly buying the infrastructure under their social calendar. I hung up and stared at the skyline I helped build. Respect isn't purchased or begged, it's enforced. Receipts 15 minutes later, an email dump hit my inbox. Lydia's assistant, subject line, vendor correspondence, per your request. The attachments read like a soap opera. From Clara, my wife. "My husband tends to become inappropriate at social gatherings." From Julia, my sister-in-law. "He's having emotional difficulties. Please ensure he isn't given access to the event." From Margaret. "He will not be attending due to family concerns about recent behavior. But the money? Still valid and appreciated. They wanted my check and my absence wrapped in concern." Cute. I called Victor, my business partner and resident truth serum. "They stole 60 grand and circulated a character memo," I said. "That's not family drama," he said. "That's theft with PR. Time to remind them who owns the floor they're dancing on." Inventory Monday, I convened the inner circle. Victor, who could smell weakness 3 counties away. Maria Alvarez, counsel with a gift for writing contracts that sing, or bite. James, our CFO, who could make numbers waltz. Sophia, my EA, who ran my life with atomic clock reliability. "Map everything connected to Margaret's party," I said. Sophia started reading Sunset Terrace Ballroom. We all laughed. I'd bought it in '09 for 60 cents on the dollar, held through an LLC fully owned by my company. Catering? Blue Mesa, which we'd acquired out of bankruptcy and rebuilt into a market leader. Hotel? Grand Palms, my crown jewel, built from dirt. 57 reservations all flowing through my system. Then the florist, portfolio company, the photographer, exclusive to our venues, the band, agency partner, the valet, a service outfit I'd rolled up. Last year. It wasn't a party. It was a tour of my supply chain. James tallied. About $160,000 through entities you control, not counting your deposit. "Good," I said. "Cancel it all. Issue full refunds except mine. That comes home." Maria prepared airtight notices. By noon Tuesday, every vendor pulled the plug. The ground rumbled. "The wake up at 11:47 a.m., Julia called, smoke alarm frantic. "Everything's canceled. Venue, catering, hotel. What happened?" "Sounds like a challenging situation," I said. "Michael, this is Mom's 70th. You might ask your vendors why they canceled," I said. You'll hear enlightening phrases like operational requirements and property management decisions. A pause, wheels turning. You own them, she whispered. I own a lot of things, I said. Your family never asked which ones. The meeting Wednesday, 2 p.m., conference room 2801. My floor-to-ceiling windows do most of the talking. Margaret arrived in Chanel and pearls, chin high. Clara came in looking like she'd lost sleep. Julia looked newly educated. Walter, my father-in-law, looked tired and sad. We're family, Margaret began. Families have misunderstandings. This isn't a misunderstanding, I said. It's theft and libel, Clara tried therapy voice. You've been stressed. Michael, we thought time apart would help. I slid printed emails across the table. Emotional difficulties, inappropriate at gatherings, recent behavior, your words. No one spoke. Here are the terms, I said, steepling my fingers. Wire $100,000 within 48 hours, the original 60+ damages and fees, and written. Apologies from each of you. They'll be read at the party. Publicly, Margaret gasped. Extortion. Business, I said. You wanted my infrastructure without me. That has a price. You can't be serious, Clara whispered. 48 hours, I said, or enjoy a grand slam at Denny's. They filed out, smaller than when they came in. 48 hours. The wire hit Friday at 4:47 p.m. 100,000 even. The apology letters landed soon after. Julia's was a diplomatic pretzel. Sorry that I felt hurt. Margaret's was a master, class in passive-aggressive contrition. Forgive an old woman who meant well. Walter's was half a page and honest. I failed you. I should have spoken up. Clara's was 4 pages, and for once, real, not misguided. Not a misunderstanding. Wrong. I betrayed you to appease my mother. The money and paper were the appetizer. The main course was the party I rebuilt on my terms. The party that worked. We moved the celebration to Riverbend Lodge, smaller, warmer, elegant without shouting. Candlelight, desert wildflowers, a guest list trimmed of climbers. It was better than Margaret's gaudy vision precisely because restraint is a luxury. Before dessert, she stood and tapped her glass. Before we continue, she said, voice steady, pride dented. We need to acknowledge that this evening was made possible by my son-in-law, Michael, after some family missteps. Not the full confession I'd demanded, but close enough. 200 people heard that Margaret Walsh had erred and Michael Harrington had made it right. The whispers did the rest. Respect isn't just power. It's power seen, the Tao. Rose's Sunday, 7 a.m. Clara let herself into my kitchen with a florist's worth of apology. Let's talk, she said, placing 24 perfect red roses on the counter like they could erase emails and theft. Talk about what? I asked. The lies, the money, or the part where you chose your mother over your husband? It was a mistake, she said. It got out of hand. You don't trip and fall into conspiracy, I said. You choose it. She reached for me. You're not cruel. I'm not, I said, sliding a manila folder toward her. Cruel would be pressing charges. She saw the packed bags by the garage. You're leaving? I filed for divorce this morning, I said. You decided I wasn't worth defending. I decided I'm worth more than staying. The ugliest cry is the honest one. She begged, therapy, separation, whatever it took. How do you rebuild trust with someone who spent 2 weeks erasing you? I asked. There wasn't an answer. I loaded the last box into the Rover. There is no us, Clara. There's you living with your choices, and me living with mine. I drove away from 15 years that suddenly fit in 2 suitcases. Some bridges, the kind that lead back to places that were never home, deserve to burn. Aftermath. 3 months later, I was in Scottsdale, 42 floors above a desert the color of copper. New HQ, clean slate, better view. Victor walked in with bourbon and a grin. Your folklore, he said. They've named it the Margaret Walsh Incident. UT is teaching it. Harvard Business Review wants a feature. Vendors who made you wait are begging for partnerships. Competitors are terrified. Turns out owning supply chains is memorable. My phone lit up with the third call that week from a CEO who'd once called me regional. I let it go to voicemail. Clara's lawyers sent offers that got sweeter with every week. Counseling, post-nup, public apologies. I told Maria to keep declining. My reputation was doing fine on its own. The quiet king of Southwest hospitality, one headline said. Another, the man who owned your wedding. Funny thing about respect, if it arrives only after you use the hammer, it isn't respect. It's fear in a nice suit. The lesson I walk my Scottsdale halls at night, past framed photos of ballrooms, hotels, kitchens, every place someone once thought they could use without inviting the man who built them. Margaret's next birthday came and went without spectacle. No one in my network would touch it without my sign-off. Actions meet consequences. Clara still calls sometimes. I don't pick up. Some conversations don't deserve a sequel. For 18 years, I mistook peace for silence and generosity for tolerance. I thought family harmony was worth swallowing my pride. I was wrong. Peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of respect, and respect is knowing the ground under your feet belongs to someone and acting accordingly. They thought the ground was theirs. It was always mine.